This is Brian Offenberger from Aftermarketer Club, and I want to welcome you. I'm glad that you're here with us this morning. We're going to be covering 8 easy ways to get more website traffic for you during our webinar today, and I really want to, again, thank you for taking some time to spend with us this morning. I'm going to do my best over the next hour to give you information that you can put to work right away. I want to point out that if you have any questions at all during our session, please feel free. Right in the screen that you have there on your computer, there is a little questions box. Feel free to type your question into that box. We'll be monitoring it throughout our discussion today because I want you to get the information from this that you really want and need. So please feel free, put your questions in that question box, and we'll be happy to go over them from there. If you have any issues at all connecting, I do want to let you know that we are going to have archived copies of this presentation available. They'll be on our website a little bit later today, and we'll, as I said, make them available to you on our website later today. Here's what we're going to be covering. I'm going to be giving you some new, unique ways to drive website traffic. Most of this I've never taught anywhere before. In fact, for those of you that were with me at the SEMA show, you know that we actually delayed this presentation a whole week because there were some changes that Google and other search engines were making in how they did things. And these changes were pretty important and pretty profound. So I wanted you guys to have the best information I could give you before Turkey Day, and I'm going to do so. I'm going to be covering these easy ways to increase traffic. I'm also going to be letting you know how you can win $25,000 in marketing services from my company. So hang on, and I'll share with you that at the very end of our presentation today. Join us on Facebook. I want to let you know we have a Facebook page that's just full of free resources to help you. We have access to experts. Some of you that were at the online marketing conference at the SEMA show know some of the people that we interact with. We have articles and interviews. You can find us on Facebook at Aftermarketer Club. That's where we're at on Facebook. Sign up to become a fan, and you'll get lots of free information. Now, let's go through my top tips to drive more traffic now and in 2010. And my first one is, some of you have been with me. I want to review this one more time because fixing the meta title tags in web pages is the #1 mistake that we're seeing over and over and over again. And the big impact in getting your meta title tags fixed and corrected for you is that it gets these search engines finding you and indexing you the right way. It helps you get better search rankings. Now, Google uses these things called meta tags for rankings to determine where you belong in the internet world. And also, the meta title tag is what they display on those search results pages, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. Now, what you need to remember right now about a meta title is that you have 70 characters you can work with. And let me illustrate that for you in this next example. Now, I have another slide that the graphic will get a little bit better than what you see me circling. But first, how do you find out the meta titles? Couple of points. You should have separate meta titles for every page of your website. And this is a big mistake that's made in the auto industry. I want you to stop and think a minute about a car dealer. Now, a car dealer is going to have a web page about new trucks. They're going to have a web page about new cars. And those two pages are about entirely different topics. I think you'll agree, because they're about different topics, they need to have different page titles. Okay? And that's the problem. Most auto industry sites that we look at don't have separate metas. They all have the same. And that's like telling Google that every page of your website's about the same thing. So, point #1 I want you to keep firmly locked in your mind is that your web pages need to have a separate meta title per page. Now, again, for those of you that have been with me, I'm going to be covering lots of new material in just a second, but this mistake is so common, I wanted to go back through it. Now, here's how you can find out what your meta titles look like on your website or on most of your competitors. All you need to do, and watch my cursor move here on the screen, you want to just go to some white space on a web page. See how I'm up here where there's no text or pictures or anything? And when you do that, you simply want to take your mouse and you want to right-click it. What will pop up are some menu options, and I want you to click on the one that says View Source. When you do that, you'll get computer code that will pop up, much like you see on the right-hand side of my slide here. And this computer code will contain things, and I'll share that with you in just a second. Oops, we're going to go back. But I'll share with you in a large scale what this looks like in just a little bit later. But that computer code right up on the top corner of the page is where this thing called a title is inserted. And you'll see the title here. In this example, it says Debt Relief, Debt Settlement, Debt Management, National Debt Assistance. That's the title put for this company, and that's the title about what this web page is. Now, it's really important. Google uses that to help determine where they're going to put you in the big internet world. And they use that as well as part of their information to help determine how they rank you. Now, let's go further and illustrate one more point about this. Now, I told you what the meta titles do for what Google uses it. Meta titles are also the things you see on blue on a search results page. So it's kind of like the headline that a user sees when they are looking at your business or any prospective other business. And if you guys stop and think about how you use search engines, when you come up in here and you key in up here in the search query right up at the top, when you key in Phoenix Document Imaging Companies, if that's what you guys are keying in, well, then you're looking at the blue, the words in blue. These are like the headlines, and you're scanning them. And what you're doing is you're looking for those things that cause you to either click on it, or you'll read what's underneath it, or you'll dismiss it and move on. And so you want your meta titles to not only be descriptive about what your web page is, you not only want different meta titles per different web page, but you also want them in a way that when someone comes and looks on Google, when they look at your headline, they click through and they want to do business with you. So get your meta titles right. Makes a huge, huge, huge difference, okay?
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry. I understand now that we've had a little issue with the audio recording of our webinar, and I thank you for sending me some of your notations. So I'm not sure how many of you had audio connections or not, but if you'll bear with me, everybody should be hearing the audio right now, okay? So I want to make sure that I covered. Right now, we should be clear. Everybody should have audio right now. If you have any issues, again, please send me another email. Hi, I'm Brian Offenberger. I want to apologize for the little bit of difficulty we had in getting started. What I want to share with you is an action-packed session to give you 8 tangible tips to drive more website traffic. That's the purpose of what we're doing here. Now, I realize you had a chance to look at some of these slides a little earlier, but let me kind of give you some of the audio that goes along with it. What we're going to be covering are tangible things that you can do to drive more website traffic. That's the purpose of why we're here today. I'm also going to share with you a way that you can win $25,000 in free marketing services from my company. So hang with me. I'm going to cover it. You all should have the audio now. Again, here we go, okay? So let's, I want to invite you to join us on Facebook. We're putting together a huge resource center there, packed full of free information. Just become a fan of our page on Facebook, and you'll be able to find us, and everything will be perfect for you from there. So that's on Facebook at Aftermarketer Club. Now, let me give you my top tips to drive more traffic now and in 2010. And again, everyone should be hearing me now, so if you are having a problem, please let me know. All right, first thing I want to share with you is I've told you, if you've been with me before, I preach getting your meta title information done the right way. Now, I'm going to go through this. I want you to all get it because it's one of the more common problems that we see. What a meta title is programming that your webmaster uses to program your web page. Now, Google uses this to help determine the rankings, where you're at within Google, and where you are at in the big world of the Internet. Okay? They also display your meta title on search results pages, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. Now, they have rules about how you can use it. You have a 70-character limit of how many characters that you can use on Google. 70 characters in this meta title. And meta title's huge, gang. We've got to get that right in order for you to get high natural search rankings. Now, here's a couple of points that I want you to keep in mind. Your meta title, you should have a separate meta title for every page of your website. Much as a car dealer that sells new cars and new trucks will have separate pages of each, well, because they're about different topics, you need to have separate meta titles. Okay? That's point one. Every web page needs to have a separate meta title. And most of them that we look at in the auto industry have the same meta title for every page. It's amazing. We see it that way over and over and over again. Number two, here's an easy way you can find out what meta titles have been put on your pages by your webmasters. Okay? Here's an easy way. Go to any part of a web page that has no photos or copy on it, that's kind of blank space, and right-click on your mouse. When you do that, when you right-click on that mouse, you're going to get an option that's called View Source. I want you to go ahead, when you do that, I want you to click on the option for View Source. I want you to click on it, and then I want you to look at the programming code that comes behind it, okay? The programming code that comes behind it is going to allow you to see what your meta titles are. Now, the meta title, gang, it's always in the upper corner of the page, always, in upper 1/4. And you'll see it in my example right over here. You see my mouse moving through it. This one says debt relief, debt settlement, debt management, national debt assistance. In your meta title, you want to have the keywords that relate to your page, that describe it, that you want top rankings for. And you also need to write it in such a way. See, your meta title's the blue text. You see me scanning over it now? It's the blue text, okay? And so, your meta title, when someone comes up here and they key in something to look for you, your meta title's the first thing they're going to see. Now, I want you to think about what you guys do when you use Google, all right? What you do is you come and you look at these blue headlines and you determine whether you're going to click on to go to the website, whether you're going to read more what's underneath it, or whether you're going to move on. So your meta titles are huge, and one tip, one big thing that you can do to start driving more qualified sales today is get your meta titles lined up. And I know I have some of you on this call that have done that before. If you'd be kind enough, wow, what a turnout we have. I'm really flattered that you guys are right here before Thanksgiving. Great turnout. I know I have people here on the call that have made changes in their meta information because I've been preaching it for 2 years. It's that critical. If you'd be kind enough, send me a little instant message right here to let me know what it's done for you, because I hear the stories for those that make the corrections. This is something really cheap and really easy you guys can do to get more results for your business. Change those meta title tags and make sure they're done the right way. I also want to let you know, since we had a little problem with audio to start this presentation, we will have it archived and recorded on our website. You can look for it tomorrow. I will, it's at aftermarketerclub.com/blog. It will be there tomorrow for Wednesday, the 25th of November, okay? All right, now let me give you my second tip, and this is part of why we delayed this webinar, because just a couple of weeks ago, search engines, what you see on this page is SE. SE stands for search engines, gang. And search engines, Google and others, they just announced a couple of weeks ago they're going to start including Facebook and Twitter in search results. And that's really, really huge, and that really means a big thing to you. That means for sure you need to be on Facebook and Twitter, okay? Google's going to be indexing those mediums and including them in the search results, and that means phenomenal opportunities for you to get better, higher search engine rankings, Plus, as well, when you're on them, it gives you a chance for additional business. We call that an additional marketing channel, and those are absolutely phenomenal, okay? Now, getting started on Facebook and Twitter is very easy to do, and we're going to give you a brief explanation how to do this. I also want you to stay tuned with us because we're going to be doing some webinars on getting started with Facebook and Twitter right around the holiday time and right at the first of the year, so make sure you're with me. The neat thing about these mediums is it gives you a chance to interact with your audiences on most fabulous ways. They're absolutely fabulous. Now, another thing that auto industry companies can do, aside from setting up and claiming their free profiles and begin to interact with people on things like Facebook and Twitter and some of the others, MySpace, YouTube, in addition to these interaction chances you get, are you aware of the fact that you can advertise there? And what I'm here to tell you, my friends, is that Facebook has the most targeted way of advertising that's available on the planet. If you happen to live in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and you want to wish everybody in Kalamazoo that has a birthday today, you want to give them a happy birthday greeting and a free hamburger for coming into your store, you can advertise to people that way. In fact, we wrote recently, and some of you may have heard my good friend Dave Kerpen at the online marketing conference at the SEMA show mention how he sent an anniversary greeting to his wife via Facebook. The only one in the world that got that message was his wife. And imagine how targeted you could get with your advertising. It's cheap, it's inexpensive. A lot of marketing companies, a lot of your competitors aren't on social media. They aren't utilizing the new advantages that social media gives you to get high search rankings in Google. They aren't interacting with the audience. It's phenomenal. I live in the Phoenix, Arizona area, and there are over 800,000 people in Phoenix that are on Facebook. In your communities, you have those same opportunities to start engaging and start targeting. If you market nationally or internationally, you have wonderful opportunities to reach and put your engagement to interact with these folks. And if you want to do some targeted advertising, wonderful opportunities within social media that a lot of your competitors are missing. So this is one of my secret tips. I haven't been talking a lot about it. There's been a lot of changes in how search engines treat this stuff. So this is new material that I want you to have first. Now, it's easy to get started. If you're not on Facebook, this is the little sign-up page right here to the right. You begin by starting a personal profile. And I don't care whether you use your personal profile or not, but you have to have a business setup, has to be associated to someone's personal profile, okay? So set up for a personal profile, and then you can set up one for your business. And I'd like you, please check us out. See what it's about. Go to facebook.com/aftermarketerclub, all one word, and check out what we have there. You can start to see how things like that might apply to what you do. Now, one other thing that I want you to keep in mind is this. I see some auto industry companies that are really excited to get started with social media. So they get something set up on YouTube, and they get something set up on Facebook, and they get something set up on LinkedIn and Twitter. And when you sit and you look at all those different spots, it looks like you're looking at 4 different companies. In other words, they're not consistent in how they look and how they appear on all those mediums. I want to urge you, be consistent in how you're looking and your appearance to your audience. When people come to Twitter, that you want them to recognize you on Twitter the same way you want them to recognize you on Facebook. Now, the way you interact is different, but you want that appearance to be the same, okay? Think McDonald's, gang. You want the McDonald's in Kalamazoo, Michigan to look the same as you do in Sarasota, Florida, all right? You need your appearance to be consistent between these different social media channels. I see we're getting some questions coming in, and I really like that. Feel free, jot us down questions as we go through. I want to make sure you get the information you need in being in our session today. All right, now let me give you my third tip on what you can do to drive more business and more sales for yourself and this is a neat one. This is one that a lot of people don't do, and we call it pursuing organizational opportunities. Pursuing organizational opportunities. And take some good notes here, because I think this is a real gem that you're going to get out of this webinar if you think and figure out how to apply it correctly to your situation. You know, our audience is mixed on this call. We have WDs, jobbers, manufacturers. We have people from a variety of different backgrounds that's on our call with us today. But what I want to talk about for organizational opportunities is a style of selling where you approach organizations or associations that have membership that is your target audience that you can sell to. Okay? Now what you're going to do, and you need to bear with me a couple minutes because I'm going to be sharing with you this story and how it can apply to your situation. First and foremost, all right, let's pick in our industry. Let's say as an example that I sell racing gear, and I sell helmets and suits and all sorts of things for a racer. Now, obviously, there are a lot of different ways that I can market, but I think you'd agree that if I could get involved with trade associations that had members that raced, that might be a good way or an advantage to me for my product, right? So I sell race suits. I want to talk to racing associations because I'd like to interact with their members so I could sell more product. Does that sound common to a lot of you? Okay, is that something that we can relate to? All right, let me go a little further with this, okay? What I can then do is I can then go to an association, and instead of being like other guys are going to come to that association and say, hey, I've got great racing products. I've got the best that are in the market. I've got the latest stuff. I'd like to come talk to your members and show them what's new. Okay, everybody says that. What I want you to do is I want you to go to that association and I want you to say, hey, look, we wrote an article about 5 ways drivers can increase safety. And I want to give that article to you so that you can get it out to your members. Now, gang, all of a sudden what we're doing is we're starting to focus on helping rather than selling. And guess what? Rich people understand that what the world really wants is information that helps them. No one wants to be advertised to or no one wants to be promoted to. So you can use articles, speeches, webinars to help provide information to the right kind of audiences that enable you to make more money. Now, this is a really important concept, and I found that a lot of times that when I use another industry, if I get us out of our industry, I get us out of the auto industry, and I move us into something else, that it's easier to understand. So what I want to do next is I want to show you an example that we did for a company in Dallas, Texas, that sells camera surveillance systems. You see these pretty things that are on your screen now, these security cameras and all of this kind of stuff. Rachel, I'm going to get to your question about fan pages on Facebook. We'll get there just a second. Thank you, some others for questions I'm going to be getting to in just a minute. Okay, let me give you the example of camera surveillance systems. We have a company down in Dallas, Texas that sells camera surveillance systems. And like anybody else, they want to sell more of them. So one of the things that we know is that a good target for camera surveillance systems are businesses that do a lot of cash volume, credit card receipts, high numbers of employees, and restaurants and fast food places, gang, are right up the alley for camera surveillance systems. Why? Because they're plagued by employee theft. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but for the average small business in the United States, when you ask them, one of their big concerns about operating their business is getting ripped off. And I know we're on a webinar, but believe me, I can see some of you nodding your heads right now because I know you've faced employee theft problems in your business. It's an ugly thing. So here's what we did. We went to the Chamber of Commerce down there in Irving, Texas. For those of my friends that are on the call down around the Texas area, you know Irving, home of the Cowboys. Irving, Texas, we went to the Chamber of Commerce there and said, you know what? For chambers to survive in this tough economy, you need to be providing good information of value to your members. And one of the biggest problems that your members face is employee theft. What we've done is we've put together a 90-minute webinar that helps them stop employee theft. We have the loss prevention director from Safeway Food Stores. We have this gentleman that wrote a book about stopping employee theft. And we had the CEO of the company that I represented. And so what we did is this. We put on this 90-minute webinar. The Chamber of Commerce, what they did is they marketed it all. They emailed it to all of their members and invited their members to come to this webinar. My company, we did 90 minutes. Okay, my client did 90 minutes of great information. And what ended up happening is that they sold a little over 40 of these camera surveillance systems in under 60 days. The reason being is that they helped people solve problems, they gave information of value, and the people that were attending, they wanted to stop employee theft. Can you see the difference between selling and promoting your product or taking an approach of where you try to help, and because you do that, you gain a lot of business. It happens every day. We call this organizational selling or aligning yourself with organizations. Car clubs. Let's continue my racing example. So I can go to a car club and offer their members an online webinar. The webinar software, gang, costs you under $100. Okay, this software that I'm using for you guys to connect, it costs under $100 a month to use, and you can use it as many times as you want. So you can go to those car clubs, you can offer a webinar, you can bring in a safety expert, you can talk about trends in driver safety, and oh, by the way, you can mention those one or two suits or those new trends in helmets and headgear safety that you just happen to have, all right? And by that kind of marketing, you're going to be amazed at what kind of results you get. Now, one of the questions, we've got a couple of questions that are all around this same topic, and this was about Facebook, the screen that we were on just a little bit earlier, and let's talk about it. It was asked, is it better to have a business page, a fan page, or a personal page? Well, you're going to need both. We recommend that you have both. In order to have a business page, it has to be linked from someone's personal page, okay? Facebook right now requires that association. There's much more capability you have with business pages than you do with personal pages, especially in terms of the number of people that you can interact with. So, Rachel and others that have asked that question, we're going to be doing more information about the differences between a personal page and a business page on Facebook. We're going to be doing other webinars on it, so I urge you to stay with us because we're going to give you that kind of information in more detail. My answer now, you need both. You need a personal and a business. They're free to get yourself started, and you're going to find that ultimately a business page is going to give your company more opportunity to earn more money, okay? All right. Let's go to my fourth tip. My fourth tip to help you drive more this year is what we call joint venture marketing. And joint venture marketing can help you have positive impacts on your search engine rankings, plus it opens up an additional marketing channel that's available to you that may not be available to others. Now, what is joint venture marketing? Well, the first thing that I'd like you to do is to think of other businesses that sell to the same audience you do, but aren't your competitors, okay? So what other companies or other businesses do you know that sell to the same audience you do, but they aren't your competitors, okay? Now, what you simply do is this, is you promote one another. You help one another. And again, let's step outside our industry, because the one thing I get accused is I use two specific examples. Let's get outside of our industry a minute and give you a bigger picture so you can think about how you can apply this to what you do. We do work in town for a heating and cooling company, an air conditioning company. And we're constantly looking for ways that we can have other people market for us, and we're constantly looking for ways to get ourselves into audiences in ways that we're most likely to make sales. Probably sounds familiar, just like you guys, you know. So here's the deal. What my heating and cooling client did, what we did is we identified here in they're actually in Arizona, we identified an exterminating company. And an exterminating company, they're in a home, they're in upper-end homes, just like my heating and cooling guy wants to be in. And so what we did is we approached that exterminating company, and we said to them, look, you guys have newsletters that go out to your customers. You're continually trying to provide extra value for your customers. What we're going to do is we'll put together a special offer that the only place in the world these people can get it is through your newsletter. And all you have to do is include it in your newsletter and send it out to your customers, and they'll benefit. And oh, by the way, if you want to put together a special offer that we can mail to our list, to our account base, we'll do that for you as well. Now, what that enabled my heating and cooling company to do was to reach over 40,000 people that were customers of this exterminating company in a non-threatening, really non-advertising type of way in order to develop new business. What kind of opportunities do you have to do that? One of the exhibitors at the SEMA show is a company that markets product to car show promoters. And what a clever idea this guy employed. What he did is he put a webinar together about 8 easy ways to increase attendance at your car show. And that got emailed out to over 1,800 car show promoters in 10 states here in the U.S. These promoters were invited to a webinar where they got tips on how to improve show attendance, and at the same time they got introduced to this man's product. What a phenomenal way of penetrating a market in a creative way to draw people's attention. Joint venture marketing and organizational marketing that we talked about previously, they offer you tremendous opportunities to do that for your business. Your challenge is to be able to think about the ways that you can make this go to your business. And yes, I've got a question from Michelle and another one from Mitch. I hope you're not related, close by names, but yes, you will be able to get archived copies of this presentation, and yes, you will be able to print them as well. They'll be available on our website tomorrow, Wednesday the 25th of November. That's at aftermarketerclub.com/blog. We'll also send all of you on here, we'll send you a little email on how you can access it as well, okay? All right, let's go to my next tip. Article distribution. Article distribution is a fabulous way for you to get your material out in front of people to help you get higher search engine rankings and to get an additional marketing channel. And if for those of you really paying attention, I gave you a little hint on how to do that a little bit earlier this morning. Remember my racing example? And I sell racing gear and products and equipment. And I need to reach all these clubs that are out there that are on Yahoo groups and in Facebook. And there's racing clubs across the U.S. and little regional and city organizations and all these kinds of things, and I need to get out to them, okay? And I can spend big bucks advertising, man. I can put together display ads, and I can put them in trade publications, and, man, I can try to direct mail these people, and I can hope and pray, and all these things that we've all done before. Well, one neat thing you can do, write an article. Again, let's stick with that same topic. What if I sell racing gear and I write an article about 5 new safety items for 2010 that make you that make you safer, or something along that line. And then I send that article out, and I send it out to all these clubs. And now instead of asking these clubs to promote me or advertise me or anything along that line, all I'm asking these clubs to do is to put out an article to their members that help their members. Wow, that's not tough at all, gang. And believe me, it will happen over and over and over again for you if you take that perspective. Now, if you're not a writer, not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Go to Craigslist. On Craigslist, you can find under the Help Wanted section something for writers. And for services offered, you'll find writers. And believe me, they're very, very inexpensive to hire. You'll be amazed at what you can get for $100. It'll blow your mind. Now you need to tell a writer what to put in an article. In other words, sticking with my example, you need to give them the 5 products or the 5 safety tips for them to write something from, but they'll do a phenomenal job for you. You get the article written. You simply email them to these clubs that you know. You can use what's called article distribution services. There's a big one called iSnare, and that's I-S-N-A-R-E, iSnare, and they will distribute articles for you, and they will be picked up by websites throughout the web that are topically relevant to what you write about. So it's pretty cool. If I write something about racing and I send it out to iSnare, iSnare is going to put it out, and then websites that are involved with racing get the opportunity to pick my article up. Now here's what this does for me, and it's beautiful, and the money's cheap, okay? Take a little time and a little effort with this, gang, and you're going to reap huge rewards, okay? Articles, I put them out, other websites carry them. What does that mean? It means I get inbound links from other websites to mine. Inbound links are the #1 thing Google uses to determine where you rank on search pages. Number 2, every website that has my articles on them can potentially send me business. We're doing something for a chain that has repair shops in college markets. And we're writing this article, 5 easy ways college students can slash car repair costs. And it's amazing. You know, the student newspaper will pick it up. And all these different things that will get us links that help with high rankings and will send us business. You write articles. If you need help, you don't need to be Hemingway to put it out here. However, if you feel you need help, go to Craigslist, find a writer there. If you really need advanced help, give us a call. We'd be happy to give you some assistance. All right, let's go to my next tip. Article's great one, gang. It's a really good one. And yes, thank you for the comment. For those of you that have been to some of my stuff before, yeah, we're giving you some new stuff here. Got lots of new stuff for you in 2010 as well. Lots of new things, okay? All right, article distribution. Let's go to my next one. Change your thinking. Change your thinking. Too many of us are focused on selling, okay? All we want to do is advertise, and all we want to do is promote. And I know what the bottom line is. I know sales is what feeds us all. We're no different. All of us have that in common. Here's the reality, though. The reality is that your customers don't want to be sold to. They don't want to be advertised to. What they need is information that helps them in their lives, that solves their issues, and that helps them keep their hard-earned money. Make sure you're doing that. Get your marketing messages. Quit talking about yourself and about your product, and start talking about how you solve customer problems and wants. The more your marketing messages are geared around helping people solve their problems and wants, the better your results are ultimately going to be. By keeping your marketing focused on helping, not selling, you get clarity. It helps bring clarity to your marketing messages, and it keeps the focus on what your customers really care about. I see this over and over and over again. We are now in the process of doing several case studies with auto industry companies that we're going to illustrate how simply changing the messaging approach more than quadrupled response rates. And where it comes from, gang, is stop talking about ourselves and stop talking about our products and start focusing on helping people. All right? No one wants to sit and talk about a camera surveillance system for their business, like the example I gave you earlier. No one wants to sit and do that. But by gosh, they sure want to stop employees from stealing from them. They sure want to stop employee theft. By that one example of changing the focus of the message, you'd be amazed at what you get in the response. What I want you to do, change your thinking, focus on helping, not on simply selling. You're going to see better results now and in 2010. All right. I want you to go claim your local listings. If you sell in a local or regional market, Google offers, Google, MSN, Yahoo, they offer you free listings that you can claim. And what's the shame is that the last statistics I saw is that about 3/4 of all business